Good morning, everyone. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to Government Day. It's, June, what is today? 7th. I should know, that's my sister's birthday. Andy Hunthouse here, Commissioner Tom Ronald to my left. Roger Balls, our Chief Administrative Officer. Kevin Horn, who is in charge of roads and bridges and whatnot at Public Works. Commissioner Candace Payne here, and Under Sheriff Brent Covert is here today. So I was thinking of a rank, and then I already said it. It's Under Sheriff.
Good job.
I was right on.
Under Sheriff Admiral.
Yeah, Under Sheriff. I almost tried to put in two there. I'm like, wait a second, I already did that. Anyway, thank you all for being here today. Welcome. Just a reminder, a couple of reminders. We are now videotaping our meetings as a result of the last legislative session. We have to do that. And so we're trying to do it in a way that it's organized, so we run the meeting a little bit more like, maybe like we do in Helena, but we're going to have our presenters, those that are speaking, come up to the podium area here so they're on and introduce themselves, and then we'll ask for public comment. In the past, it's been pretty casual. Hey, I got a comment, and we'll just speak, but we'll try to be recognized and then say your name out loud so that it can be on the recording. You can stay where you are now. I think we're okay with that. But we'll have anybody presenting come up to the podium. So thank you for helping us with that, because we have to. Not much we can do. All right. So we'll start with reports. Under Sheriff, we'll let you go first. Talk about how things are going with the Sheriff's Office. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner, Mr. Chair. Good morning. The Sheriff couldn't be here today. He is out of town with his wife, and he will be back obviously next month, but he's sorry that he couldn't be here. I talked to him the other day. Give you an overview of what's going on with the Sheriff's Office. The biggest thing that we've had during the spring is training. And I guess all of our captains that me and the sheriff talked to about, we have so much training during the year, we try to do it in off times where nothing's happening, and usually that's in spring, starting in January to, well, now. They took us literally and packed us full of training, so we've been doing that so much that we kind of have to say, time out, we need a break from training, we're doing it too much, we need to work here. So anyway, we've been training. One of the biggest parts about this is a new handgun training that we ended up getting money for. The sheriff has been trying to do this since, I think, 2012, 14, something like this, is to get a sheriff's office issued sidearm. Right now, since the history of time, the sheriff, if you became a deputy sheriff or a sheriff, you supplied your own firearm. So we're going to an office issued one, which also means the training on the new gun. So I get to do that this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I get to spend the whole day at the range, and maybe they can teach an old dog some new tricks with the new gun. But we've got about 3/4 of the office has been trained. We've been doing that all week, and it started last week. So we've got a few more people to get to that. As you can tell, probably getting 50 deputies in there to be retrained for 2 days at a time took quite a bit of time. We're happy that that's happening. It's almost done, and we'll be doing good. So training. You guys probably have seen Jeremiah Steiner. He's been up here as your Lincoln substation deputy, and he's been doing a good job. I seen him the other day on Tuesday for polling. They came up and picked up ballots and took them back, and I talked to him, and he's been liking being up here and being your deputy up here. So hopefully he's doing a good job for you. I think he is, along with the guy from Augusta and our guy from Wolf Creek. So probably since it's June and we won't get a chance to do it before the Lincoln Rodeo weekend or that week, we will have our same amount of deputies up here during that time. The officer that's gonna be in charge up here is Neil Marks. He's a corporal for us, and he was here last year, did the same thing for you guys last year. So we will have our contingent of people up here. We are not gonna put a damper on anybody's good time. We're just gonna make sure people do it safe. So that's what I have for you, commissioners, and I can take any questions if anybody has any questions.
Thank you. Yes, sir, if you'd state.
Yeah, Pat Hagan, resident, I was just wondering, when are we gonna get a regular sheriff here in town to stay?
So, thank you, Pat, for that question. We have hired somebody specifically for the Lincoln area, and he is right now about 3/4 of the way through the police academy. So, you still won't see him for quite some time, because once you finish the academy, you have 22 weeks of field training, and then you have another 6 months on probation. So we don't let
We
anybody.
don't see anybody for about a year then.
Yep, correct. You'll still have Jeremiah, he will be up here during that whole time. So he will be here, but the person who's going to live here, Chance Hill, as soon as he's done with his training and his probation, then he will be up here, so.
Thank you. Any other questions for the sheriff's office? Any other questions? Okay, thank you, I
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right, Zach, community council. Hate to make you walk all the way.
I know
it.
It's so hot. All right, not a lot discussed. Most of it's public works, I'll let Kevin handle that. I try to keep people updated on the work projects but DOT says this was gonna start July 8th. Dalton is gonna start July 8th, and Flesher's gonna start July 8th. Well, as we can see, the contractors kind of do their own thing, they kind of have a window, so,
It's acceptable.
But the
Yeah.
weather's good. I mean, they work when the weather's good.
yeah. One of the topics that kept coming up, continues to come up, is UTVs and dirt bikes and all that. I know last night Jeremiah had gotten a couple kids, which is good because one of those kids has been terrorizing town since school got out, and he put the kibosh on it. I did talk to Leo about, or was it you, Brent, about side-by-sides, so they're gonna start educating people, but we need to educate as well.
Yeah.
Can I help on this or explain a little bit of this? I know this has always been a problem for years, the side-by-sides, the four-wheelers, all of that going through town. I think they get mixed up. This is one of two places that you can ride snowmobiles on the roads in town. That doesn't mean you can ride them on the roads out of town, it means in town. And I think everybody gets confused with that, thinking that they can do the same thing with four-wheelers or ATVs or motorcycles or whatever. That is not the case. And as you can tell, it gets kind of dangerous as they're driving on the side of the road and people are trying to back out of businesses and doing that kind of thing. Somebody's probably gonna get hurt at some point. So we have to remind everybody, especially in the spring, our guys, hey, you need to do some education on talking to people who are driving these ATVs and that. They're licensed to be on the road. If you have a driver's license, you should be driving them on the road, in the driving road. But we also, as you can tell, get kids who are not of legal age and do not ride legalized apparatuses at the end of the road. So it's an education, and we're trying to combat that a every spring until we can start getting people acclimated back to, hey, this is what you have to do. So hopefully that.
Yeah, it all started, I mean, everything kind of started with the snowmobiles and the agreement with DOT, where we could ride the borrow pits and we could ride through town to get to the trail, to the gas station and the trail. And then there were no side-by-sides back then. There were not a lot of four-wheelers back then. And then it kind of got into the four-wheelers and there weren't a ton and they'd go slower. Now we're into the side-by-sides and they're like, you know, some of them are built like Corvettes and they fly. And then the kids are getting out and wanting to ride their dirt bikes. And the rules are, they have to be with a licensed adult. And snowmobile, four-wheeler, whatever, not just, see you about sundown. And that's what's going on a lot. And generally, if they're doing what they're supposed to and putzing around on the side streets and going slow and wearing helmets, not drawing attention, it's been kind of overlooked. But they're not doing that anymore, or there's a handful that are not. And it's every year when you get into that age class, they get out of school, they get their first dirt bike and they start out slow and then next thing you know, it's, you know, supercross. So we did talk and we're refreshing the understanding, and we need to do more as a community as we see these people, because they see somebody else do it, riding, you know, everything's supposed to be on the north side of the highway as far as snowmobiles and the borrow pits. North side is it, that's the agreement with DOT. We don't want to start tracking up the south borrow pits, because then DOT starts noticing more, then they start getting upset, and then they shut it down, no more borrow pits. And we don't want that. We want to keep DOT happy, quiet, and unnoticing. So, as you see folks, please just educate them. North side, in town, they gotta be on the highway, or on Main Street. If they're not licensed to ride on the shoulder either, so they shouldn't be driving.
Zach, it reminded me, but I think if I remember correctly, the winter snowmobile agreement thing too was not to ride around town on your snowmobiles. It was really so people could get from their homes to the trails without having to haul their.
Not to school, not to
Right.
bar, not to.
It's just,
Yeah.
it was a method to get there without, so you don't have to trailer your snow.
Just progressed and it's gotten, so that's why, you know, we need to put a little more focus on it. Other than that, everything was DOT. We did, was the Main Street, whatever, community development, discussion, was that, did we talk about that last government day?
The growth policy?
No, not the growth policy, this is the, community development, Main Street program.
Highway 200 safety.
Yeah, no, there used to be Envision Lincoln, and then.
Oh, yeah. I think we
Yeah.
talked about it a little bit.
So, we did have the meetings here, last month, and it's refocused on Highway 200 safety, mostly from Second Creek to First. And a lot of that has to do with the side-by-sides, but trying to come up with ideas instead of Envision Lincoln, when it started out, it kind of it went down the wrong road, because there was a picture on the paper, showed parallel parking or angle parking and all this stuff, and people didn't read the article, they saw that and shut down. So this is more on, you know, street lights, crosswalks, traffic calming devices, radar sign, you know, what can we do to help slow down traffic through town, make it safer for pedestrians, and make our town look better without really having an effect on people's parking and whatnot, because Lincoln's a highway town, it is what it is. We can't, it would be really, it'd be damn near impossible to put angle parking, you know, like they do in different, you know, in the cities. because of the elevations. You look at one business, it's slightly above the highway grade. You look at the next one, it's 3 feet below the highway grade, so you can't really, you got water runoff, we're on a sewer system, that can't handle all that water and runoff, so, if you're interested in it, there's stuff at the post office, there might even be, I don't see anything, but there's stuff on the bulletin board at the post office, and you can go online and you get the information, put it in the comments, see what other people have said. We're regulated by DOT here, because this is a highway. Anything that's done here is not the county's doing, it's DOT. Then you're under the watchful eye of the trucking unions and all that, because every mile an hour you slow them down, that puts, cumulatively puts them behind, it costs them money. So they have a lot of control, just like the NRA does, they're big organizations. So take a look at it. I don't have any flyers with me. I might have some info in my truck. But like I said, the post office on the bulletin board, and read what folks have said and throw your ideas out there. There's always, I know we had one that, as many years as we've been trying to figure out ideas, 95% of them we've tried. But there's always like our push button crosswalk, our previous librarian has come up with that idea, and it works great. Somebody said rumble strips on the highway through town, or like the center line, but, and DOT said, well, we don't really have a rule against it, but we don't we don't want to do that because it takes away from when you have them like on one where you're on 141 and hit 200 here, the Helmville turnoff. People start seeing them too much, they start blowing through them. Well, they're primarily for intersections, and that's what it does over there, is it slows people down, even though 3 or 4 still go through it into the bank every year, but it slows them down. If we started doing it through town, it might take away from that, so they don't like doing it. So I think that's out the window, but if enough people think it's a good idea, we can pursue it and push them and see where they'll go with it, but that's about all I had.
Alright, thanks, yeah.
Yeah, Pat Hayden again. I don't know if this is a question for you or for somebody else, but DOT, they're gonna give us the magnesium chloride to do the ditch this year.
As far as I know, when I got Harry to do that years ago after Jim left, he said every year you can have, it was a couple hundred gallons, but then it went to like 1,000 gallons. So, yeah, I'm 99% sure they will.
Okay.
So just gotta get it, spray it, and fire department can go wet it for you prior to
Okay.
that and pass.
So I got the truck, I used the tank, just run down to the ditch, I'll get a hold of it.
Yeah, that, another thing that helps keep the eyes off, or DOT's eyes off us is, them side by sides. The speed limit is 35 in the borrow pits. And we used to have signs in the borrow pits, and they'd last about a month, and the snowmobiles would jump over them and everything else, so it's just wasted money. But those suspensions and the speed on those things, I mean, they can go 70 through those borrow pits and never hit the brakes. And it puts up a cloud, and when we get those inversions, hot, calm days, it just sucks in the whole highway. So the snowmobile club sprays to try and keep the landowners that you're going past happy and keep that dust off the highway, so the visibility's better. Yeah, we can do that.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Any other questions for council? Any other questions? All right. Anything else?
We do still have, I think, one vacancy on the community council. We have our new member, Cindy Wojciechowski, and yes, it's nice to be as full as we are. I think as full as we've been, we have 6 out of 7. So if anybody wants to, and we meet third Tuesday of the month, 6:30 right here, every month.
All right,
Good?
thank you.
Thanks.
Anything you want to add? Okay, good. All right, thanks for being here. All right, thanks, Zach. Anyone from the Forest Service here today?
You do have MHP.
Yeah, I was gonna holler at him here. Yeah, thank you for coming. We do have a trooper here. Would you like to introduce yourself? And
Yeah, sorry we're late.
that's okay.
Chip
You didn't
seal.
hear this instruction either. So the legislature has changed our process. We have to have everybody
You gotta go
film,
one.
so we gotta trying to have a central spot where we're talking.
Okay. That's
Please,
fine.
welcome.
Thank you. So I'm Captain Dave Oliverson. I'm replacing Captain Justin Braun. I think that's been to this meeting before. I'm the Butte Area District Captain, which includes Lincoln and Helena. I did bring one of my sergeants with me, Jake Parks, and I think he's been here before. You've probably met him. We do have a trooper that lives here in Lincoln, as you probably know. And I just wanted to introduce myself, and if anybody had any questions or comments or whatever, I'd be happy to talk to you about it, or we could meet afterwards, or whatever you want to do, so.
Well, thank you for being here today. And did I get it right? Oliverson?
Yes, Oliver with a son on the end,
All
yeah.
right, Oliverson. Okay, gotcha. Great. Captain, thank you for being here. Any questions for the Highway Patrol?
Is the trooper that's here, is he the one that patrols here? No?
I mean, you'll probably see him occasionally, here. He gets dragged, we're really short, as, you know, probably all law enforcement has that issue, but because of our, staffing issues, he'll get sucked down south a lot of times. So a lot of times you won't see him here. You might see him make a few traffic stops here and there, or you'll see other troopers dealing with crashes and stuff like that when he's off. Or you know, we may end up having to, you know, bring somebody up from Helena, depending on what kind of staffing stuff we have. So we do appreciate the public's patience, because we know that sometimes we're a long way out and we have very few numbers to cover a lot of miles. So our district, the Butte district that includes Helena and Lincoln, and we go all the way to the Idaho border, south of Lima, and as far west as Clinton area, and obviously as far north as Lincoln. So it's a huge area.
Yeah.
So, but we're still trying to fill vacancies on a regular basis. We're running cadets through the academy all the time, trying to fill those vacancies to help these outer line stations be filled. Unfortunately, it's usually the out of line ones that get somebody taken from them, because somebody will bid somewhere else.
Well, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you both.
And
Welcome.
I do plan on being here
Okay.
monthly, so that, you know, if you can't think of anything right now and have an issue you'd like to bring up with us, be happy to talk to you.
That's great. It'd be great to get your information before we part today, just so that we can keep you on the email list as well. There are times, like next month, maybe a month, sometimes when it falls close to the 4th of July, we cancel or
Sure.
change the date or something, but we'll let you know if there's any changes to the meetings.
Okay.
All right,
Sounds
thank you very much. Any other
Thanks.
questions for the Highway Patrol? Yes, sir.
Well, not for him.
Oh.
Well, first of all, we appreciate seeing you, the highway patrol.
Thank you.
We appreciate seeing you. And the
Can
second
you
thing
give us your
is,
name for the record?
that's, okay. We appreciate having you here. And secondly.
Your name.
Oh,
That's all I wanted, your name for the record.
You didn't have to get up there.
for the record, by the way, where's the camera?
It's over there.
over here. Oh, okay. Bob Frank Plumley. Later, I'm gonna give a report on the Lincoln Solid Waste District. Right now, I was just, I heard the word date and was already looking at July's calendar and confused as to whether or not we're having a meeting on the 3rd day of July or not.
We're gonna talk about that here.
I figured we would. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, any other questions for the highway patrol?
One note, Zach News. Major Broughton didn't get the email this week.
Oh, he did.
So was somebody out of the office or, cause normally I
Yes.
get one at work and one on, then I told him.
Nadine.
And called me and I was like, Nadine's probably on vacation and she didn't get all the emails out, so they'll get you
I'll
that.
make sure I get you that info.
Yeah, we'll get it. Thanks, Zach. Yeah, Nadine is out of the office and, we find out when she's gone how we rely on her. It's like, where am I supposed to be? Yeah, so anyway, thank you very much.
Yeah.
we can-
Yeah, we rely on you guys just because we are so short, you know, to help us out, and you've always been really good. I've spent most of my supervisory career, at least, you know, in the Butte area, come up here during the summer times for fire duty and stuff like that, so kind of a little bit familiar with the area. Yeah, we do appreciate you guys and the help that you give us and the patience that you have, so, thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. We will move on. Mr. Horn, Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Good morning, everybody. I'm Kevin Horn. Like Commissioner Hunthausen said, I get the honor to oversee our Public Works operation side. For those of you that might not know, that consists of all of our road network and all of our bridge infrastructure. We also got a sign department and a really good maintenance staff to keep all that yellow iron on the road for dirt and snow. So it consists of, I think we're running right about 27 people right now. That covers about that 3,500 square miles that the county is. Lincoln, Wolf Creek, Augusta, York, all of Helena, so pretty big area we cover. Director Chambers is on vacation today, well-deserved vacation, so I get the honor and privilege of giving the Public Works report. So I got a few notes from her as well. Just to piggyback a little bit with Zach, I did reach out to MDT earlier in the week. I was really hoping that I could confirm some of their construction schedules and some of their dates that are impacting the residents of Lincoln and Augusta and around Helena. Mr. Combs got back to me on what he knew about a lot of the projects. Earlier in the week, I did not hear a lot from some of his project managers. So thanks, Zach, for the heads up. I know I sent the email to all you folks, but that did come from Zach. So thanks for that. So we weren't delayed for the meeting. The Fletcher, you had indicated around July 8th was their start date. I did get word that should be taking place somewhere between that and the 15th of July. So there'll be a lot of heavy truck traffic coming through Lincoln. All the millings, I believe there's about 3,500 tons of millings coming off that project. It's a mill and fill job. We've seen that project very early on and worked with MDT through a memorandum of agreement to secure those millings. So we're going to stockpile those in our yard, our county yard over here for the time being, and we'll be using those on a future project somewhere to be determined around the Lincoln area. Millings are very difficult to get in this day and age, even locally in Helena. The suppliers don't sell them anymore. The contractors like to put it back in their asphalt, so it's called RAP, recycled asphalt pavement, that goes back in. Through their mix designs, they get sometimes upwards of 40% back in it. Cuts down on the oil content when they put that RAP back in the mix for new asphalt. So that's why they're getting tougher and tougher and tougher to get. We, as the county, can't afford to do a lot of asphalt paving because asphalt is so expensive, but our Public Works manual allows us to put a bed of millings down, treated millings, with a reclamite or a mag chloride of some nature at a certain depth, and we're allowed to chip seal over the top of those according to our standards. So that's why they're really a benefit to the county, and our staff works hard to try to get ahead of those projects and work with MDT to get those secured. We as well, Commissioner Payne mentioned it's nice weather. Summertime construction schedules are in full bore. We did actually start a lot of our chipping as well around town. This is probably the biggest year that the county has ever had for chip seal projects, and we're going to be pushing about 40 miles an hour this year. That does include a lot of our rural improvement districts. There's 152 of those around the county. A lot of them are hard surface, so that's a pretty big year. I just want to recognize one of our individuals that's getting close to retirement. Jesse Whitford is our construction manager. Most of you folks probably haven't met him, but he's kind of the unsung hero behind the scenes. He puts all those estimates together, makes sure all the bid documents are ready with our engineer, Dan Carlin, and he manages all those projects all summer long. So we have a very full plate of paving, chip sealing, a lot of paint going down, starting this month. A couple projects we just completed was an overlay in Birdseye, about 3 miles that was desperately needed. Thanks to our commission, one of our main problem roads in Helena, Country Club Avenue, was awarded on Thursday morning. That project's going to kick off between July 12th and July 20th. So lots of things going on the operations side here and around Lincoln. I got a couple announcements that I'll do at the end. Travis Leslie has still been filling in for the last year up here. They've been concentrating on that Stemple corridor. We got about, we should finish that up probably towards the end of next week for our spring grading on that. Takes us about 4 or 5 weeks to get over that 26 miles of road. So also last week, there was a bad spot on the Lincoln side. Anybody that's been over there noticed there's a new culvert put in there. We just got that done yesterday, and I see there's getting to be some water on the road at Poor Man Creek too that we might need to address to get another culvert up there. So when Travis is done next week, his plans are to head that way. So if you're out in the Alice Creek, Hogan, Landers Fork area, he might touch up, First Street and a couple of these before he heads out that way. But the next week and a half, he should be headed that direction. Dalton Mountain update, that's been all along July 8th. Undersheriff and I just went through that. They got everything cleared due to their permitting. My understanding was the window for permitting was July 1st, and depending on who did the permits and how they did them on a couple of these projects, July 1st isn't the set in stone number. So July 8th is still scheduled for that kickoff. Those of you that might live up there, I did reach out to MDT. They have a requirement in the contract documents for the Heron Lake detour to see that get you shot of dust abatement, magnesium chloride for that project. Worth Construction is the dirt work subcontractor under Sletton, and he was actually supposed to grade it and meg it, so it needs it right now, as the undersheriff and I well know, so I'm hoping that's going to happen very soon before the project kicks off, but I will be following up on that. Stemple Pass Bridge, that partnership with the Blackfoot chapter and the Forest Service, that was supposed to kick off July 1st, is when the county, as our partner, we're building a detour up there. We're going to put some pipes in the creek, and when they build that new bridge, still allow traffic to get around on Poor Man Creek there. I was under the impression our permit window was July 1st, so that's when we were going to start, and the permits for all of the bridge work were only slated till July 15th is when the permits are slated for. So I have to wait about 2 weeks to jump in there before the contractor. You will see a little work up there, being that it's going to be a little bit longer of a project. We're going to put permanent signing in for traffic control. rather than, you know, our typical little orange triangles that sit on bases that the wind blows all over. We're gonna actually drive 3-pound steel, and put a 5-sign radius, so it'll be lit up at night. It'll be really good for our law enforcement people and anybody traveling that road. We'll make it as safe as possible up there. I have a really awesome announcement today. So we have been soliciting for a district lead operator in the Lincoln area since Pete resigned about a year ago to take care of Lincoln. Happy to say we have filled that position after a year. We've interviewed, I don't know, we left it open until filled, and we interviewed a lot of people that had a lot of good criteria, but we really wanted to look at a community fit as part of that as well, of someone that, an outgoing individual, someone that could get along really well with the general public, and I really feel like we found that guy. I was not on the interview panel throughout the last year, but one of my employees was sick, and I got the opportunity to sit on this one, and I think everybody's going to be completely excited. He starts on the 17th. His name is Kenny Benata. He comes out of Sidney, Montana. He owns a cabin up here. Don't ask me where, I don't know, but he's been trying to get to Lincoln permanently, to live in Lincoln. He already has a residence, so he's going to be local. It's going to be a really good deal, not just for our public works, but for the community. With that being said, a lot of communication takes place, and I'll be asking Director Chambers throughout these public meetings going forward. Zach and I communicate very well on a daily basis, but anytime it's required, whether it's a weekend or an evening. We have a system that we run out of Helena. It's a call log. So what I would like to do for the Lincoln community, rather than everybody calling our new folks, our new district operator, I would like to start running all of our calls from the Lincoln community through our mainframe system at Public Works. It's a 447-8031 number. You're always going to get a kind person on the other end to help you with whatever you might need help with, unless it's after hours. It does have an answering machine, which is important, and all those calls are logged. And the reason we've moved to that the last couple of years is that is where our whole management team, from our director down, is in Helena. It gives us all the opportunity on our call log to have better customer service for the public when people are calling in. So if you have complaints, if you have attaboys, or roads need graded, I mean, we rely on a lot of the folks in here to help us with those eyes. That number is posted on our website. It's in the phone books. It's just under Public Works, Road and Bridge, and all those calls get logged. I look at them every morning. Our road manager does. Director Chambers does. Some of the things our road manager deals with, depending on the situation, I might have to deal with it, or I might pass that on to Director Chambers in an effort to have better service for the community. So going forward, you'll probably hear a lot about that. The other thing that comes with that is Ed Tinker, our road manager, oversees the Lincoln district. So Kenny Benata works for him. Every day at 5:30, they're on the phone, they're making a plan out of Lincoln, Wolf Creek, Augusta, York. They're making a plan for what operations have to exist for that day. So it really helps during snowstorms. It helps for schedules, for grading. And if Ed's looking at that list and he knows that 4x4 needs to get graded, he's the one that directs that traffic. And I just wanted to be, kind of clear how that worked on that side, that Kenny's direction all comes out of Helena from our road manager. And that's, I'd like to maintain that change just to help him be successful in his new position. He's going to have a hard enough time getting to learn everything and the tricks of the trade and the people, and it's going to take him a while to get his feet on the ground. So I'd like to set him up for success early. I think he's going to do a heck of a job for you guys. I'm pretty excited to have him on board. So,
What's that number again?
447-8031, Commissioner Rolfe.
Thank you. Kevin,
Yes, sir.
Can I throw in on? Just want to make sure everybody hears the number.
You betcha.
If I could throw in on that, Zach Muse. Brent can probably testify to this as well, but when you've got 500 people, let's just say half of the people in town here calling because they know Kenny's number or whatever, and you keep hammering them, that, you know, same with the deputies, you know, you know them. It's one thing if people come to me and say it, and then I call them, because I try not to pass out numbers anymore, because it gets overwhelming, and I know, speaking with Pete, that was one of the worst things, was everybody knows his number, and everybody's calling him about this pothole or that pothole, and it's just, and it, like he said, it's not recorded, so if he forgets, well then he gets 20 more phone calls. Same with the deputies. If you call the deputy and say, hey, there's a side-by-side doing Brody's in the middle of Stemple and 200, if he's in Wolf Creek, by the time he gets back here, he's had 5 different calls, he forgets. If you call those numbers, like for the sheriff's departments, the 447-8235, it gets to, it logs it to where somebody has to respond. They have to, you know, at least call you back or something, where their personal cell phone, they can forget in 2 seconds. So, and it's frustrating. It just wears them out really quick.
Really appreciate that comment, and that is our effort going forward, is to help shield that and put that burden more on my shoulders and our staff's shoulders there, give them a chance. Thanks for that, Zach. I mean, between you and I mean, we still have the same system going that, and you know, you get a lot of feedback from the community as well that gets passed right up to me. You know, and I know some of that stuff's not logged, but at the same token, let's continue down that path as well. So. Yeah, so that's the 17th he's starting. We are probably, folks, going to keep him in Helena for a little while to try to get, you know, through some orientation. And then once we do move him up to Lincoln here, I'll probably still have Travis run with him for quite some time, maybe all the way, maybe into the winter, and learn routes and, you know, where places to put snow. All that's really critical to our operations. So appreciate all that support, and I'm excited about it. So any questions, folks, on, yes sir?
Brian Batzer, just a comment that when you do the bridge, you're going to use Heron Lake as the shortcut. Just east of the Sunny Slope Ranch House,
Okay.
you have a really sharp right turn as you're headed east.
Yep, where the willows
If you could
are.
cut all those willows out of there, it would greatly increase the viewing as far as.
Okay. Great
There's 2
suggestion.
turns in there that are really bad, and willows that all have to go out of there, so.
Great suggestion, Mr. Patzer. I do have a machine that I can do that with. Just so everybody understands, the machine I use to do that is a very devastating machine, and I can get that in our right of way. It's a gigantic mulcher. It's similar to what the Forest Service uses for mastication, but I can mow them down to get a line of sight on that. Their willows are going to grow back pretty quick, so I appreciate that. I'll see if I can get that handled.
Thank you. Any other questions for Public Works? Yes, sir.
Francis Beeler, that corner he's talking about, we've been fighting that for 30, 40 years. And it ain't gonna happen, because you gotta get land, or permission from the landowner.
Well, I got a 60-foot right-of-way through there, so I can go out. I can go to the right-of-way.
You go ahead and talk to him, because I couldn't get no right.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Because it's you, Peter. That's because he doesn't like you, Peter.
Just a quick, I just got out the Helena Santa Gravel foreman, whatever, Solomon, just texted me and said tomorrow is town.
Tomorrow's count.
Okay.
Saturday.
Yeah, well, that Tuesday they were supposed to start, and the rain and all that stuff, they knocked them back a day. And I was just texting him, telling his truck drivers and the Telpo T to blow it down. They're getting faster and faster and faster, and school's out. And he's like, oh, absolutely. Well, now he won't shut up.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you very much. All right, we have friends from Public Health here today. And I'll let you introduce yourselves when you get up there and then tell us the topic of the month.
Okay.
What we're up to. Welcome.
Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Amber Johnson. I'm the Communications Specialist in Public Information for Lewis and Clark Public Health. Thank you, Commissioners, for having us. Our topic, we got a couple topics we want to cover this month. I just want to do a brief announcement about our upcoming CASPER survey. So this is a county-wide effort in collaboration with St. Peter's Health, Rocky Mountain Development Council, Montana DPHHS, the United Way, Peerview. It's part of our Healthy Together Steering Committee. Every 3 years we do a big survey of our community, and then every 3 years we put together a community health improvement plan. So we're taking like extra measures this year and doing an actual residential door-to-door community health survey staffed by community health volunteers. So the dates for that door-to-door residential survey it's happening Tuesday, June 25th, later this month. So that can happen between 2:30 in the afternoon to 7:30 in the evening. We just want to let as many people know as possible. One, so you're not concerned when somebody knocks on your door, don't be afraid, right? And then please answer the questions. We actually want to hear directly from people in our community about what they need and what they want to live healthier and happier lives in Lewis and Clark County. Instead of just making an educated guess, we'd actually like to hear directly from the people. So we really appreciate your help in spreading the word that this is happening so that one, people are not afraid. When people knock on their door and they will answer questions. The people that will be knocking on your door will be in vests. They'll have name badges, clipboards, tablets. And they're going to be volunteers. Speaking of volunteers, we need more volunteers. Again, community progress requires community participation. So we would really appreciate if there are people here in Lincoln, yourselves included, if you have the time and the interest to be part of our cohort of community health volunteers that can go knock on doors and ask some questions. We really would love to see some more participation. We've got a couple clusters here in Lincoln where we will be visiting. It's kind of a very scientific approach. They took Lewis and Clark County and through some large survey science, multiple clusters within the county were selected, including 2 or 3 clusters here in Lincoln. So if any of you are interested in volunteering, or if you know of anyone that's interested in volunteering, we start with a 2.5 hour training on Tuesday from like 11:30 to 2, and then we actually go out in our surveys from 2:30 to 7:30. So it's a commitment. It's not just an hour long volunteer commitment. It's quite robust. But again, like for the future population health of Lewis and Clark County, obviously I think we all would love to see this just be a healthier, happier, just wonderful place to live and to raise families, and that requires community participation. So if you're interested in volunteering, you can scan. I'm gonna be passing these around Lincoln today. They're little table stunts. So if you know of any like coffee shops or restaurants or buildings that I should be visiting, please let me know. If you would like to take a few, I have a few, and you can put them out places you think my people might see. There's a QR codes here where you can scan, learn more about the CASPER survey. And CASPER actually stands for Community Assessment for Public Health Response. You can visit this QR code, visit our website, learn more about it, and you can also volunteer on that website. There's a link to a job form where you can register as a volunteer. If you are interested in volunteering, you can come and chat with me, and I will help point you in the right direction so that you can get signed up. Again, please tell anybody you know, especially people if you're retired or if you have like a non-traditional job where you could take a Tuesday off. Definitely, we would love your help. With that being said, if you have any questions about the upcoming Casper survey, please come and see me. I'd love to answer any questions you have. With that being said, I'm going to introduce Mary Sparks. Come on up, Mary. She's going to talk about our WIC program.
Commissioners, thank you for having me today. Again, I'm Mary Sparks. I'm the Child and Family Health Supervisor at the Health Department. And today I'm just going to be talking a little bit about the WIC program and just a little extra plug in for our home visiting program. So as supervisor, I do supervise the WIC program. Our home visiting programs is an asthma program, Parents as Teachers, and the Nurse Family Partnership. But today I want to talk a little bit more about WIC. WIC is a program that aims to safeguard the health of low-income women, infants, and children up to the age of 5 who are at risk of not having enough nutritious foods in their diet. We serve so WIC stands for Women, Infants, and Children, but it doesn't just serve women, infants, and children. We can serve fathers, we can serve grandparents, we can serve kids in foster care as well. It is an income-based program, and so I brought some pamphlets that kind of highlight what the income per household is to qualify. But then families can get issued a card and use an app right on their phone to decide which foods that they can get in the grocery store. That's still a work in progress. The app is relatively new and always has some little quirks with it. But it's getting better over time. Right now, the WIC program is terribly understaffed. We had 2 people in a 4-person team take positions in other departments, which was great. They both got promotions, but that means that we only have 2 people who are fully trained in the WIC program right at this moment. And we serve all of Lewis and Clark County, Jefferson County, but also Marr and Broadwater counties. So, and actually anybody can choose to come to our WIC clinic. If Helena is where they tend to go, they can come from anywhere. So we have families from Missoula as well if they want to come this way. Are there any questions about WIC? Thoughts?
Questions?
Okay, well, I'll have some handouts here as well as my cards. And then I just really briefly, since I was already here, I thought I would talk a little bit about our home visiting programs. The Montana Asthma Program is for anybody who is having trouble with maintaining or reducing the risks of asthma attacks. So a home visitor can work with the family to look at what's going on in their household to try to reduce the triggers of asthma in their household. It can provide things like a HEPA filter for your home and other things. So they can do in-person visits, but it can do virtual visits as well. And it's for anybody. It's not just children, it's adults, as long as the main diagnosis is asthma and they don't have another diagnosis like emphysema or something like that. And then we have the Nurse Family Partnership and Parents as Teachers, which are parental support programs for kids. The Nurse Family Partnership is pregnancy to age 2, and Parents as Teachers is pregnancy till the child goes into kindergarten. So if you know anybody that might need a little bit of extra support in the home, we have these programs as well. So I'll leave some of these here.
Can you tell them somewhat about what the home visitors do?
Yeah, home visiting will work with pregnant women to have a healthy baby, get ready for to have a baby in your home, so working with the family to make sure your home is safe, but then also monitoring developmental milestones, connecting families with other resources, and then working with the families on just fun activities at home with your young children. So we also work with families to make sure that they have a proper car seat and a safe place to sleep in the home. So we can provide car seats for folks that can't afford one, but also a pack and play crib if somebody needed that. So they have a safe place to sleep. Any questions?
Questions for Mary or Amber? Any questions? Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for the report. And learn something every month, so we've kind of had different public health topics. It's been great, so thank you for being here, appreciate it. And you probably got caught up in the,
Oh, the traffic?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, we had 15 minutes all the way, so
Yeah.
sorry we were late for.
No, it's no problem, we
We
kind of,
didn't plan on that large of the quote-unquote traffic jam.
yeah, we were expecting it a little bit today because of that, but we were warned, so we built in more time, but we forgot to warn.
Yeah, I didn't share.
Yeah, blame me, it's my fault. All right, thank you again for being here. No questions for public health, ma'am? All right, we'll move on to other business, and first I'll turn to Bob Frank Plumley and give a little update on the solid waste board.
Yeah, those of you who do recycling, you probably noticed the bins that were over here next to the senior center are there no longer. One was a paper recycling bin and one was a aluminum and tin can recycling. First of all, it's always a shock when people hear that we were paying $60 a month each for those two bins. So we're putting out $120 a month for those bins to sit there. The paper recycling bin sat there for over 2 years without having to be moved. It was more like 2.5. And when it finally was starting to get, when it was starting to get full, and we started talking about it, when are we going to move this? We found out from Ryan, I forgot his last name, who's with Republic, that paper bin like that becomes contaminated, and it's all going to go to the dump anyway. So we've been collecting paper for 2 years, it's going to the dump. The paper bin wasn't really being used because who's getting newspapers anymore? And we were getting magazines, we were also getting trash. That was another part of the contamination. So it's gone, all paper goes to the trash. In terms of aluminum and tin, that bin has been placed out at the transfer site, east of town by Landers Fork, and it is for aluminum only now. Metal, like tin cans, you can accumulate those and take them out to the metal section, yeah. And there's a big bin out there that you can throw your tin cans in. But those are two different spots within the site. So it's a little bit of a pain, but that's the way it is. There is a sign over here, a green sign with some yellow print. The sign's gonna stay there, but it's gonna be laid over with a sign explaining that everything now goes out to the transfer site. So you'll see that sign coming up sometime in the next couple of weeks. We thought it'd be up by now, but it seems like everything runs slow. Even for getting things printed runs slow. Let me think, I think I've covered everything that I needed to cover.
Okay.
Any questions or comments?
Bob, just to add to that, I think the gentleman from Republic did say that part of their charitable side of what they do, they may set up like an individual paper recycling project with the school, or a large producer like that, they might do something
Yes.
like that, but wouldn't have recycling.
Thank you, Commissioner, for mentioning that. We are talking with the school about possibly putting a bin over there right by the school. It will have a lock on it though. You have to, I don't know how that's gonna work.
Yeah.
But like at the Forest Service, the 2 or 3 people that really were throwing paper in were the school, the U.S. Forest Service, and, I know one church that produces quite a bit of paper, we're throwing paper in. Aside from that, that was about it.
Right. Well, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we'll dovetail that report with, I think Roger has a report about the solid waste board's decision process here. We'll talk about that. Go ahead, Roger.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Hopefully this isn't too repetitive. So we have an employee, everyone, named Misty Edwards, who works on a lot of the Lincoln-related activities and projects we have going on. She's in our finance office. And so this is a memo from her that I would like to report to you on. She couldn't be here today. On April 16th, the Solid Waste Board voted to recommend increasing the solid waste assessment here in Lincoln 7%, from $135 to $144. The resolution of intent will be presented to the county commissioners at their public meeting on June 13th, that's next Thursday, in room 330 of the county commission chambers. All other fees will remain the same. You've already heard some of this. Aluminum recycling has been moved to from the Lincoln Senior Center to the container site. This will allow for better monitoring of recyclables. The unmonitored containers at the Senior Center, we're seeing some misuse. We already spoke about this, which causes loads to be contaminated and no revenue received. So what you just said. Paper recycling has been suspended at this time. So everyone, I wanted to let you know about this. If you have questions about any of this, please feel free to call the county finance office and speak to Misty directly if you need to. So just wanted to add a little bit to what you've already said. Okay?
Thank you.
So- No,
Okay.
no, not health department. So this is, there's a solid waste board up here, and we work with Republic out of Great Falls. And just to comment on the recommended increase, and Bob can back me on this, that it was based on Republic increasing their fees mainly this next year.
All prices are going up.
Right, so they've increased their fees to manage the waste that we produce at the site, so we have to just raise the fee to make sure we meet those.
That's
costs.
correct.
So, yep.
So everyone, I thought I might give you a couple of other updates on a couple of other things that are going on in county government. One that impacts Lincoln is that yesterday at the county commission meeting, the commissioners took formal action to accept a grant. It's from the DNRC, and it's called the Urban and Community Forestry Grant. And it is for $11,000 to work on a landscaping and tree planting plan for Hooper Park. And the commissioners accepted that grant yesterday. And I was also speaking with Misty Edwards yesterday, and you all probably have seen that there is a fee collection box and station that's been installed at Hooper Park now. When you drive in, as you get into the covered picnic area, it's right there on a large board. So just another development for you all here in Lincoln. And I also thought that I would take a moment, everyone, and just update you that the county commissioners over the past month have had budget hearings. So they have had many hours of receiving presentations from all the different offices and the departments that are funded through your county government. So lots of information about revenue projections, justifications for spending. They've been reviewing requests for any kind of new programs and things like that. Commissioners, we do have a budget to receive newspapers from time to time. Just want to let you know that. Couldn't resist it. We do get newspapers 3 days a week, the hard copy. So there is still a little bit of that going on in some places. I think those are the big issues that I just wanted to update everybody about this morning. Thank you very much, and I'm always glad to answer questions if anybody has any. I have a question. Grant Bowser.
We had a tax increase roughly of 30%. Does that also then increase county taxes 30%? So why are we still getting a bunch of increases when we have to live with a way less increase in wages, Social Security, so forth? I mean, I have a tough time not understanding why we don't have an excess right now as far as taxes being received by all the governments.
Okay.
I know they have increases, but 30%'s a lot.
So Commissioners, I'm glad to answer some of this, but I'm looking over at Commissioner Rolfe because I know you enjoy speaking about this. And
Yeah,
all of you.
But go ahead, if you wanna start, we can.
Right, so I'll turn some of this over to the Commissioners, but your county government is certainly funded in part by your property taxes. And there have been increases, and the property taxes that your county government receives, some of them are discretionary on part of the county commissioners based on the priorities and services we want to provide. Some of them have been voted in through tax levies that the citizens have actually approved. The reasoning behind a lot of the tax increases that have occurred is tied to property valuation, and I'll leave it at that, Commissioner, because I know you all have done a lot of research on your own, because these questions come up. It's a good question.
It's a really good question, because it's a little bit deceiving. I'll pass it on to the other commissioners if they want, but your county taxes we account for about 25% of your property tax bill. So that, and I say about because it depends on where you live and what else is in there with, voted things, and if you're in a district, a hospital district or a solid waste district or whatever, those different fees that might be on your property taxes, some have them, some don't. So, but about 25%. No matter what happens to your property value, so Zach's house went from $1 million to $10 million in value, and his tax bill goes up. We don't see that at the county level from the perspective of, we have a formula given to us by the legislature. We are a subdivision of the state of Montana. And so counties can only raise taxes at 1/2 of the last 3 years' average inflation. So we average the last 3 years as a formula the state gives us, and our taxes can go up that much. So this year it was about 2.4% that the county could raise taxes. So that's much different than what we saw in our assessments and those kinds of things. And then there's another factor for the total tax increase for the county, that's anything new. So if, like, in the Helena Valley is the easiest place to see it. You can see new apartment buildings going up, or a business comes and builds a building, or whatever. Those businesses then come on to the tax roll. So we get some of that new growth. So our total tax increase was around 4%. You know better than me, 4.7%. But approximately half of that was new growth. So your taxes for the county portion of what we use to pay Kevin's salary or send him out on the roads or whatever went up about 2.4%. So that was as much as we can raise taxes. So then there are the voted things that we have less control over because we don't know how you're going to vote. So if somebody says, we want to vote in a new school levy or a hospital district or whatever it might be, then those are the citizens to vote those onto their taxes or not, and we don't have any control over that. So there's one more thing is that our property values went up significantly, but some people's property tax increase didn't go up as much as their value, but some did. I mean, there were some. Commissioner Ross been studying this, so I'll pass it on to him. But from just the county perspective, for general county operations, we can only raise taxes 1/2 of the last 3 years' average of inflation, which was about 2.4% this year. So I'll leave it at that. Go ahead.
Well, according to the Montana Taxpayers Association, the county did the amount of taxes that were collected by the county.
We can collect them all.
That's right. We collect the ones for the schools as well as for the cities that are involved. There was an increase in total tax revenue of about 30%, like you're saying. But the amount that was actually used by the county only went up less than 5%, 4.7, I think it was. You'll find your county operations are really pretty conservative in their increase. And we're facing, in order to do the things that that we've been doing, we're facing increased costs of fuel and increased costs of new asphalt and chips and whatnot like that that have been pretty dramatic. So I think you'll be pretty pleased at the way that the commission has tried to approach it conservatively to keep your taxes down. Don't know, I don't have the breakdown for Lincoln, but we attempted, the county did attempt to try to keep some of the school equalization funds from going to the state general fund. And we passed the original bill, our tax bill, at a lower mill rate, but the state Supreme Court said that we had to go back and add a supplemental tax on top to ask the extra money, and that was the supplemental bill that you received right at the just, was it the 1st of May or end of April, something like that. But that was a decision by the state Supreme Court. It was driven by the school lobby who felt they wanted that money to go into the state general fund for, and hopefully it'll be used for schools. Well, there's no guarantee that it will be.
So we're barking at the wrong tree when we complain about that.
There needs to be
more or less the state.
There needs to be a major revamp of the way school funding is done. And I hope that the legislature is up to the task, because it's a big deal. It meant statewide, it meant about, I believe it was around $80 million extra that most of the counties, think of the 56 counties, 49 of the counties decided to go with the lower amount. But then the state Supreme Court said, no, you've got to do it the way it's always been done. And it meant about another $80 million into the state general fund surplus.
Commissioner Payne?
I have a few comments on this because I'm pretty fired up about this whole damn thing. Many years ago, a senator from Big Timber, Lawrence Grossfield, who is cousin of these Grossfields, he wanted to get rid of all the special funding pots of money, including school funding. And at one time, there was a special fund at the legislature for school funding. Well, we don't have that anymore. So when they come in and the school, I can't think of who the lobbying groups are for the schools, but they're very powerful. We all want good education for our kids. And so when they came in and are saying, oh my God, if the counties don't collect the full amount of the taxes as they're required to, then by golly, our schools will be affected. And I didn't think that was true. And I think the evidence is that where the executive branch sent a bunch of us back a refund of our property taxes. It wasn't very big. So we're getting it back anyway. Why couldn't we keep it in our own pockets? Why is it the executive department, including the Department of Revenue, and none of those people are elected? They are hired guns for the governor, and those are the ones that insisted, no, we had to keep that school equalization tax fully funded because they are allowed to. I guess they aren't given the opportunity to use their judgment that maybe those assessments that were just done are sky high and we really don't need that much money. I think the group you have here is a pretty conservative fiscal group, and we really did try to do that. And I think our legislators need to be held to task and reminded that what the heck are you doing? Letting the appointees direct all the elected tax collectors, because that's basically what we do. We take your money and we figure out how we're gonna spend it. So talk to your legislators. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Hopefully they will revamp the school funding laws, because the Supreme Court decision was based on a specific law that allows the Department of Revenue to, they bankroll. If they don't need a certain amount for the next year, then they can just kind of put that money aside and use it in years to come, and they are allowed to keep doing that. Well, your county government is allowed to do that too, and we didn't. But they insisted for their share of the school equalization funding, we had to collect the entire amount. They're allowed to do that under state law, and that was the part. The Supreme Court wasn't really confirming we were wrong and Department of Revenue was right. What they were saying is Department of Revenue has the authority to do what they did, and so you guys pay up.
That's only a couple percent though, what you're talking about as far as that school equalization.
It's dollars, and I don't
understand
know.
that.
It went from 78.5 mils up to 95 mils, so it's more than a couple of percent. It's essentially about a 15% increase because the property tax assessment appraisals all went up.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So of the 30% increase in property taxes, most of that you're saying is going to the general state fund, and that's where the legislature every 2 years votes on HR2 on how to spend that money.
That's
about it? Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't affect the school. If the Supreme Court had not made that decision, it would not have affected anything going to the schools for the next 2 years, because that decision was made back during the legislature, how much money was going to go to the schools. And I think it was a bad precedent, but the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of that. And maybe we need some changes at the Supreme Court. I don't know. Another thing that you should consider, the small things that add up. The 6 mil levy that goes for the university system, it is passed by the people as 6 mils. So it automatically got the full increase. It's not X number of dollars or anything like that. It's 6 mils. So the 6 mils to the university system, the 1.5 mil that goes to the 2-year what used to be called tax schools. That's a hard number.
Those are permanent.
They're in place the 6 mils is revoted every 10 years by the people. But it's always put on since, I think it was started in, 58 or 59, and then every 10 years it's been repassed at 6 mils for the university system. That portion got the automatic 30% increase, or whatever the increase was statewide.
So the bottom line kind of is, we only have so much authority to deal with what we've been given authority to do by the legislature. And the body that can make the biggest difference in how property taxes and how other taxes are collected or assessed is the legislature. And so what happens is, like when our values went way up, the value of a mill went way up. So if last year we said we're going to tax 20 mills, and last year those mills were worth $100,000 a piece, and this year they're worth $200,000 a piece, well, we would lower the number of mills that we charge you on your taxes so that we only collect what we're allowed to collect. And what the state kind of did in this case is they collected the same number of mills and they were worth a lot more money this time than last time. And so a lot more money goes in. So, but only the legislature is what we found is can make that change. And they had opportunity last session to say, oh, we see what's coming. Let's change our tax formula so that people don't get dinged so hard, but we still collect what we need. So they'll likely, I think there's a bunch of proposals already being discussed for this next session.
I really appreciate all your explanations, I really do. I think it's good. Is there any chance that Lewis and Clark County could put out a flyer explaining that? So more people could understand it, I think you'd get a lot less flack back to you.
Yeah. Well, and the counties get a ton of flack because we are the tax collectors.
'Cause you're the
So
one
everybody
collecting,
thinks, you
yes,
guys are
it's
raising
all
our
your
taxes
fault.
like crazy. And the first thing is we don't assess people's homes. We don't decide what they're worth, nor what the state does that. And then we get to collect the taxes, and most of it doesn't come to the county. It goes somewhere, we just pass it on somewhere else. So it's kind of interesting.
It's an interesting dilemma that we have. I heard, and I haven't confirmed this yet, that Montana is the only state in the country where the state does the appraisal, but the county does the collection. So there's something that we're out of sync with what's being done other places.
It's a really fun honor, I'll tell you.
Thank you, Chair.
But it's a good discussion, it really is. Yes, sir?
I just wanted to add something else. As far as information, I believe that our treasurer, clerk, and recorder on their website has a section that has some information describing particularly what a meal consists of and the budget process. But as you can see, everyone, this issue, our commissioners are heavily engaged and knowledgeable about it. But I also do want to circle back to something too, and that is, in the context of the county budget, like some of the reports you heard today from the sheriff's office, from the health department, from our public works department, those budgets are reviewed by the county commissioners, and there are property taxes that do go into those budgets that are specific to your county government. So for instance, and by the way, all of this information is also, if you want to do this, it's on our county website. The county really tries to be transparent on how we handle our budget, what gets approved. But if the sheriff's office or if Public Works comes in and believes they need a $50,000 increase, I'm just pulling these numbers out of the air, for additional materials or additional training, the commissioners would consider that and decide whether to allocate that money and use what could be property taxes to accommodate that are specific to county government. And the voters here in Lewis and Clark County, I'll just use another specific example. We have something called a public safety levy. So the voters approved property taxes to be used for public safety. And it generates roughly $17 million, for instance, for the sheriff's office. And it funds the sheriff's office, the deputies, that type of thing. And also just a few years ago, our voters here in the county approved another tax levy that produces almost $4 million a year for the detention center operational needs for our county jail. So the voters approved that, and those are property taxes that are used to fund some of your county operations. So that certainly is a part of what the county commissioners review every year and decide where those expenditures go. But there's a big picture about property taxes that you've heard all the county commissioners speaking to. It's a big issue everywhere in the state of Montana. We're seeing it, but I just wanted to stress to you, if you're interested in this, I believe we have about 8 years of our past county budgets posted on our website, and it has a listing of revenues. It's a heavy read, it's a lot of information, but if you want to know more, it's a good resource.
Yeah, but it's a shorter synopsis of that would be more beneficial to the public.
Yes, I agree.
It is a complicated issue.
Oh, boy.
That's this is not easy. When you look at the services provided to you, not only by county government, but by state, federal, we have a lot of services, and if we don't want so many services, then we could lower the taxes. And so it is complicated. It's, as the newest county commissioner here, it never ceases to amaze me how complicated it is and how much time we spend studying the issues and weighing whether or not, does the sheriff's office really need 2 more cars? Well, if they had 2 more cars and they had 2 more officers, maybe they could respond when, you know, my daughter's having a manic attack and she's gonna throw the kids out the window, so I need somebody here now. Or, I mean, there's all kinds of issues where we need some help here, and maybe it's a solid waste facility. We need to get better control over it because it's polluting the nearby. There's all kinds of things that we as a society expect to be provided to, for, and we pay for with our taxes. Are you getting adequate service? Do you need police protection more than you need a new snowmobile? I don't know, that's a personal decision that we all make every day. This is the status we are happy to live with. We like our way of life here in Montana and Lewis and Clark County. It's kind of, we need law enforcement. Some of us are a little more inclined to take care of it ourselves, but that's not, you get sued doing that. That's the other, we have to weigh, we have to have this stuff. If we don't do it this way, we'll get sued. If we get sued, that's gonna come out of the taxpayer's pocket too.
You don't wanna get started on lawsuits.
No, I mean,
I
it's
mean, look at how many times the county was sued by private contractors over poor road decisions.
I have to go.
But
How many millions do we lose there?
Let's,
we learn from our mistakes.
Okay.
I was-
Commissioner Ronald, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm a lawyer, by
Just
the
a
way.
thought, when I ran for the county commission 4 years ago, I was told by several people that our county was very fiscally responsible. And after I got on here, I've realized that over the last several years, there have been some very good fiscally solid decisions made. The departments are all asked to make long-term plans to save for capital and things. We know that we're gonna need new road graders in 6 years. We start saving for them now so that we've got the money at the time.
Yeah, I wasn't bringing out lawsuits
Yeah.
to say anything currently. It's the money that was wasted 20 years ago or longer.
Yeah, but we've.
So I think the county is
Your
doing a
county is
very
very
good job,
fiscally
in my opinion.
responsible. The other thing that you'll find that I'm really pretty proud of, when we went to the department heads this year to look forward, we said, you know, people are really concerned about, so we want you to take a look at what you're doing now. No extras, no extra people. If you have a special case, that thing has to come to us to analyze before we go any further. So they were all given the command to start their budget with what you did last year, no more. And there are some cases where we're gonna have to do a little bit more. But we're looking at each one of those things individually, trying to be responsible on it, trying to keep a lid on increases, because we know that you're just like us. Our price for groceries have gone up, our price of gas has gone up, the things that we're buying for our household are all gone up. The people in Washington DC have done a lousy job on inflation, and it's making all of us hurt.
I agree with you 100%. I do agree that the county has been, for the most part in the last, 8-10 years, has been very fiscally responsible. The bad thing is for everybody is wages for all your people. They might get wage increases, but they're falling backwards.
That's right.
Thank you.
Karen Frank Plumley. I'm a trustee for your Lincoln Hospital District. There are 5 of us trustees that you elect. We serve 3-year terms. I've been on since 2016. Before I came on, Lincoln voters voted to build a new clinic, and to take that on your property taxes. We got a loan from USDA to build that building. That loan is paid off this year. You can look on your property tax bill and see what portion of that you've been paying. Now, the other thing you voted was a bill that raises about $5,000 a year to do maintenance on the building. That's not adequate, and we're gonna be asking you to increase that, which you'll do by your vote. We don't do it, you do it by your vote. But right now, we're finding it very difficult with an income about $5,000 a year for maintenance to insure the building and do the repairs on the building. It's 12 years old now. But we have a wonderful building thanks to you voting on your property tax to increase your taxes to pay for that new building. But it's gonna be paid off.
Thank you. All right, with that, any further public comment? Any further public comment? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Pat Hagan, I just wanted to know, I've been hearing a lot of stuff about a coup going on with the sewer board. You guys have any information on that?
Thanks for the question. I don't have any specific information other than I know that some of the members of the sewer board have contacted our elections office and they're trying to get clarification around who's on the board, who's officially on the board, all those kinds of things. So I think they've been working with them through that process. We have offered in the past any assistance we can offer in terms of they're their own local government, if you will, just like the hospital district's kind of its own local government. So if they need assistance on, hey, here's how we run our meetings, here's how we keep our books, here's how we do our minutes, here's how we follow the law, here's how we record our meetings, we've offered to help them with any of that. I've also connected them with the local government center at MSU so they can get training or whatever they need. So we'll help them. We can't do it for them. We can't tell them what to do. They're elected by you as well.
Yeah, you know how rumors go, but I was just told
Yeah.
that they were decommissioning this and somebody from Illinois was taking it over, so.
No, there is a caveat, I guess, there, if that ever happens. So say all however many members there are moved to Topeka tomorrow, and there was no sewer board anymore. I believe, and this is, I'm not a lawyer, but I believe the law says that the county commission would administer that service until we could run another election and get a new board elected. So,
Okay.
but other than that, we don't have authority over them. I mean, if somebody outright like, hey, I know that such and such person broke the law and, stole sewer district money or something, well, then you have to, call the sheriff or call the county attorney, and they would follow up on that. We would not be in the middle of that.
All right, thank you.
Yep. All right, any other public comment? Any other public comment? Yes, sir.
A quick comment. I'm not gonna ask for money. I'm Rick Foreman, and I'm on the cemetery board that the county owns in the middle of the Forest Service. Forest Service is not here. But if you go up to the cemetery, there's been a few potholes that have been kind of filled. And I won't say who did it, but without incriminating anybody. So I just wanted to make that comment.
All right.
I should just mention too, and for those of you who don't know, Roger Day just joined the Historic Preservation and Tourism Board of the county. And he's working on trying to get that board to meet up in Helena sometime later this year. And if you have any concerns about any historic items that need to have some attention, get a hold of Roger here in town. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner, I do have an update on the cemetery if you would like on
Please.
that specific road.
Sure.
If you would like.
Yeah.
Kevin Horn, Public Works, again, thanks for the question, Rick. I did mention, I did reach out to the Forest Service. We just finished up just a short time back, a cooperative forest agreement, and we included that road. So just earlier this week, I reached out to Daniel Wood, which is the forest engineer, on grading for that road. 2024, they have let multiple contracts for grading for Forest Service roads. They have yet to get anybody to bid their project. So we did put it on the radar. We were thinking about you guys, and it's under an agreement now where with the county that the Forest Service can grade that road.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? That was a great meeting, robust, and it's how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to discuss the community issues. And we thank you all for being here and listening and participating. And with that, we do have the one more issue. What are we gonna do next month? So, the meeting would fall the day after,
Fifth, yeah, that's what.
yeah, the 5th, the day after the 4th of July. So, in the past, we have canceled that meeting, commissioners. It's up to us, but it's always good to get input from people. So, I don't know what your pleasure is, but it'd be good to maybe share that with folks.
If we hold a meeting here on the 5th, how many people are gonna show up?
None.
Okay, you see what I'm
So,
saying?
I think we'll meet the first Friday in August. How about that?
Yay.
Let's make it official. So everybody got that? Highway Patrol, we got that. So we'll try and get everybody an email as well, but first Friday in August. We'll see you then.
Are
All
you
right.
still gonna have the Augusta meeting next month?
Yes, we'll probably have the Augusta meeting because it falls on the 12th. So, all right. Thank you all very much. We will stand adjourned.